Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Adventure Starts Here podcast. This week, we played Ooh, a puzzle platformer where you use bombs to traverse the innards of a bird. Please note that there are some light spoilers for Outer Wilds as we do some compare and contrasting, as well as some hidden meta puzzles. Hope you enjoy the episode. So, for this week, we played Ooh, or however you would like to pronounce this series of three O's. Who wants to introduce it? It was kind of group picked in a way.
I didn't really know anything about it, but I technically chose it because I needed to choose an intermezzo game for control. And no, I think Thomas or Jordan brought this game up. It was 2 hours long, and I was like, "It looks cool. Let's play it." And that's how it was chosen.
Did you guys get the sense as you were playing through this game? Because like you get et by the bird and you're inside the bird. Were the different zones supposed to be like different body parts? Like I got to the brown one and I just kept thinking like I'm in its butthole right now.
I think you put way more thought into it than I did. That's for sure.
I think you put more thought into it than Nama Takahashi did, because yeah, I wish it was more like you were going through his spleen and his gallbladder and things like that, but it kind of just felt like I was going through a cave, if anything.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
really get that sense. A lot of times I forgot I was going through a bird at all.
Yeah, I forgot until like the end. And then I was like, oh yeah, I am inside a bird.
Yeah, it's like it just has the mouth and I guess the heart and
Yeah.
nothing else. I kept thinking like, "Oh my god, is this game genius?" Like I'm going down this long like downward tunnel and that's like it's fucking esophagus or something, but you get to like the ice zone or whatever towards the end of the game and it's like, "Oh, this is
Yeah, this
what's
isn't
this supposed to
thematic.
be?"
The walls kind of look like intestines, I'll give them that.
All right, well, what were the vibes for this game? I am of pretty mixed opinions. I also totally forgot to make my guess. So while you guys are answering this, I'm gonna do that. I feel like I'm probably gonna be lower than some of you guys for reasons that I can get into. But I think one of the first things that I wanted to ask is if you felt like the mechanics that are introduced in this game are like utilized to their full extent. Like what I really appreciate in puzzle games, especially ones like this, is I like my popcorn puzzlers. I like it when there's a shitload of puzzles in my game, even if they're not all great, just because I like being able to see the concept of a puzzle pushed to like the nth degree of like conceptually what it's capable of. I don't quite feel like this game did that until I found some stuff that we'll talk about later. But how did you guys feel about it while I make my guesses?
I also have like mixed opinions on this game to the point where I don't know how to like truly rate it in the end. Cause I can see like flashes of brilliance. I'm just imagining the one dude that like programmed this game just trying out a bunch of different shit, and that's how he made the mechanics. And it was like clever as shit, and it felt fun to execute the mechanics once I knew them. And for the most part, I liked anything that was intuitive, which is basically anything involving the bombs themselves. But like then there were the other mechanics such as like the flies going through walls and stuff like that, and bombs not despawning when you teleport. And those types of mechanics, I wish there was maybe like a little more yellow paint for, like kind of like in Leap Year, where it was just jumping, but then there was like that one mechanic where you can like jump super high, and based on like the length of your fall, something different would happen, and they had like a hieroglyph somewhere that kind of depicts that. I wish there was something like that where honestly, like if the developer themselves didn't have like a full let's play of this game on their YouTube channel, I would have never beaten this game, and I would have fucking Steam refunded, which I didn't. I pirated this game out of principle, but if I did buy it, I would have Steam refunded and left a review so scathing that the Steam janitors would have to come remove it because it breaks the code of conduct.
That's hella skill issue. I feel like
Yeah, I
I feel
know.
like 50% of this game is just yellow paint. That's how like every single zone or whatever you want to call it is set up
Yeah.
to where
That's
you walk into a new zone and there's two paths and you don't know how to do the one path, but you follow the path that's like self-evident, and then that allows you to teleport back to the start and do the path that you were meant to do from the beginning. And it's just like a slow like drip feed of like it does the exact same thing as Leap Year does. It's just kind of blown up a little more because I think
No,
the mechanics are a little more complex.
I don't agree with that because everything to do with leap year, like all the mechanics have to do with the main mechanic of jumping. The mechanics I'm complaining
Yeah,
about in this game don't have to do with the bombs at all. They have to do with like weird shit that I think the developer like found out just from experimentation while he was building the game, and that's the
Yeah,
flies going through walls and stuff.
there's still always some like the first time that you have to do like the teleport back to the room, right? Like if your brain doesn't go, why is there another like save point in this very room? Oh, maybe I can go back and teleport to this room. That's skill issue.
Yeah,
Pure and
I know
simple.
it's skill issue, and that's why like these types of games, like basically all puzzle games, are just very niche, and I'm just not in that niche. You know
well,
what I
no,
mean?
I agree with you, Ben, because I think, like, yes, what Tom's saying is true, but I think that this game is also, especially in like the first couple areas, is really bad at teaching the player how to play it because it gives you mixed signals all over the place. The first area is like, hey, there's invisible walls, so now suddenly you have to like bomb every wall. When you get up to like one of the guys that you need to use a fly on, you're like, maybe I got to go bomb the walls, and then you're like, oh no, I just didn't understand this mechanic. And then in another area, it literally gives you a power up that lets you like get through the area. So now it's giving you completely mixed signals all over the place, and you don't know what the fuck you need to solve the puzzles like 80% of the time.
I will say I kind of agree with the idea that you're getting at, where like, or maybe this wasn't your main point, but like after it showed the like you can blow up hidden walls feature, I was like, there's no way that I'm blowing up every single wall.
Right.
So if the game
Hang
doesn't
on.
yellow paint it, I am not doing that. But the game
I'm
did
so
yellow paint
pissed.
it to a
I'm
pretty
so
severe
pissed.
degree.
I complained about this in Silk Song, and you guys were like, no, it's fine. This is how Metroidvanias work. I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
hate having to go through the fucking game and hit every goddamn wall. But this game's so small that it wasn't an issue. What the fuck was so fine in Silk Song that's so
It's
bad in this game?
literally the opposite of what you just said. Silk Song is so big and it's not required. You don't get immediately blocked on the next screen. If Silk Song was like, you're blocked, go back on the previous screen and hit every wall, that would be terrible.
Yeah, it's like what I just said. Like it shows you that, and if it required you to do things like what Silk Song has, not to say that it's bad in Silk Song, then this game would be worse because I don't want to have to bomb every single wall. But the walls that you do have to bomb are like almost literally yellow painted sometimes, like the big mini map that turns
They're
into an
very
arrow saying where to
obvious,
bomb.
yeah. They're very obvious what you need to bomb for sure. I'm just pissed off at this fucking double standard because I bitched about this in Silksong, which is like a 40+ hour game, and this is a 2 hour game where you barely even have to do it.
Because the thing is, when you get to new mechanics, it's like, how am I supposed to solve this? Do I need to just go bomb every wall? And then if you do that, then you're like, okay, that wasn't it. Now what do I need to do? Like, I don't think the game does a good job of showing you, like, hey, this is kind of what your expectations should be for playing the game. And I think that's what
Yeah,
Ben's
I
problem with the game was.
I don't understand. I think that this game is genius for the precise opposite reason of that. I think this game does such a good job of communicating to you exactly what you need to do at every moment, like between getting power-ups and all that shit because of how the map is designed, where I said earlier there's two branching paths, and if you know how to do it you can just go through the one path, but you have to follow the other path all the way through to the dead end, and then it's like, oh, okay, go back to the start. Okay, I see where I'm supposed to apply what I learned in this last like 20 minutes or whatever. I feel like I never had a single issue figuring out what the game was trying to tell me. I'm confused.
No, I 100% am where you are at. I actually disagree with Jordan and Ben on this because I don't know if it's a skill issue or not, but I think there was only one, maybe two times where I actually had to like stop and think about a puzzle. Everything else was just like, okay, I do this, then this, then this, and now I just need to execute it. Or like random annoying things like having to platform with the like side shifted bombs. That was kind of annoying. But no, I think I mentioned it in the OneNote that I think this game has really good visual communication. My only issue was I just don't really feel like a lot of the mechanics were utilized to their fullest, except for the hidden levels. I found out the hidden levels existed, and that kind of flipped all of that on its head, and I had to
Yeah,
reevaluate some
I
things.
will.
But we'll get into
I
that.
will say I had no idea hidden levels even existed.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I guess I guess my final point is that like I don't think that I'll ever be able to be on the same page as you guys on like these puzzle games because like I always think about when Jordan talks about CRPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 and how he doesn't have like that sandbox mindset, so he
Yeah.
can't like really get into those games. That's how I feel about not just puzzle games, but like any game with puzzles in them. It's just that's how I feel about them.
Except Mimic Logic. We got you with Mimic Logic.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: like the best puzzle games, I think, have a myriad, like an infinite possible set of solutions, such that it's like unable to be brute forced or just engineered out. Like you know, like the way I went about every single puzzle in this game was okay. I know these things because the game has taught me these things. How can I use the things that this game has taught me to solve the puzzle? And if none of those things solve the puzzle, how else could I possibly interact in the environment? Like I'm kind of thinking back to the Firefly thing, like how it goes through walls. There was a point where I was like, this doesn't feel possible. How could I possibly do this? And I just went through the thought process of like, oh, okay, the Firefly moves. The only way you could possibly do this is if it gets knocked into the next room. Um, and that, I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of god gamer. I fucking look up answers to most puzzle games I play, but I just felt like this game did not have that kind of like breadth of potential solutions, so it almost felt binary in some of its solutions at
Yeah.
times.
I will
I agree.
say the one thing, or at least the one puzzle I got hung up on that in the end I don't know if I liked so much is the very first one anyway, because after I was like, oh, that's a thing, is where you have to like place a bomb on like the little rope bridge thing and then drop it on your head. That one I don't think was super duper well communicated, and I also got fucking tripped up forever on that. But everything else felt pretty well like thought out and well communicated. And like you said, in games like this, there's only ever one solution, so you just have to think, how is this ever even remotely possible, and then figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, it's like working backwards basically.
I just don't know if I'll ever be able to get in these games like you guys do, because like I just keep thinking about how I went through this game. Whereas like I actually did intuit a lot of the mechanics, but they were only the mechanics that had to do with the bombs themselves, and like there was just like those other mechanics I mentioned where if I didn't watch that Let's Play by the developer, there was just a 0% chance I've been able to beat this game. Like you know how a bunch of monkeys could eventually write Shakespeare? Over time, I would have never been able to beat this game, and it's just like it's just so weird because like when you look up when you have to look up solutions to games like these, especially a game like this where there's literally nothing but the puzzles, it feels like you got nothing out of it in the end. At least that's how I
So
felt.
I have a question. How long do you give yourself before you just throw your hands up in the air and like journalist mode it? Like, do you sit there and think
In
about
this
it for like
game,
5 or 10 minutes, or do you just like come on in a room, say I don't know how to do this, and go straight to YouTube?
in this game, it depended on the mechanic, but like I think on average, I probably gave myself maximum 5 minutes before I got frustrated.
Okay, that's not bad.
What's the difference between most puzzle games and Mimic Logic?
I feel like Mimic Logic is less about puzzles or like discrete puzzles and more about like pattern recognition. It's more like a it doesn't even make sense to say this, but it's more like a card game to me than a puzzle game.
Mimic Logic is more like a card game, you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, Mimic Logic.
I think that kind of makes sense. That like you're kind of like mentally lining everything up in Mimic Logic to fit where it needs to go, I guess.
What's that game you played, Seth, where it's like super minimalist puzzle game where you just need to figure out the rules? Does it understand or something like that?
Yeah,
I
understand.
wonder if Ben would like that, because maybe like rules driven puzzle games is what he likes.
Yeah,
but
that's definitely what it
not
is.
like Baba Is You, because I think he'd hate Baba Is You. I think he needs more like railroaded rules.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is, because Ben is like an autistic coder guy, so like there's obviously like a part of his brain that can apply like rigorous logic to things. It's just
Yeah.
when it's not like spelled out for you in the way that it would be in fucking Metroid Brainy, a game like this or Outer Wilds or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of rigorous logic to apply because you don't know like the rules you're playing
Mhm.
with, or the breadth of them anyway, because they're not
yeah,
spelled out for you.
yeah. These things, it seems like it's more like a. I don't know if playground's the right word, but
Yeah.
I just imagine the developer like coming up with these mechanics just through like pure fucking around with his game engine and just seeing what was possible, and it's like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna make like three puzzles that have this thing that I just discovered. And that was another thing that bothered me is like there were so many like cool mechanics that were actually really fun to actually execute, but like some of them were used so sparingly that like and like I just forgot them, so that the next time I needed to use it, I couldn't remember it, even though I had
Yeah.
already mastered it like 20 minutes before.
That's a good point. I think this game is like really you kind of have to play this game in like one setting because if not, you just forget the shit that the game like taught you. At least for me, like I played it in two settings, and when I came back, I was like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, and that's like part of the issue I was getting at, where like it just feels like you're already moving on to the next zone before you've like yeah, you learned how to like double bomb yourself across a long gap, but how many times did you really have to apply that in a like totally unique scenario such that it gets ingrained in your head? I didn't really feel like that happened that often. It's not to say that it's like a super difficult thing to remember or do. It just
Yeah,
it's kind of like a learning thing. The game doesn't like cement it into your brain, I feel.
I definitely think the game didn't stay in the pocket long enough for sure.
I think that that's just a product of these games being so short. Because like, if this is like a 2 hour game, then it's going to try and fill out as many of the like proof of concepts that it has within that 2 hours. And I would not have wanted to play this game for like 6 to 10 hours.
Agreed.
That shit would have got old like way faster than that. So I don't mind the like super fast paced like mechanical puzzle like mechanics that are actually in the game just because it's so short that it's just trying to cram so much into that like compressed length, because I would rather it have a compressed length with a lot of variety than be too long and get boring.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also think I fucked myself because I played this game over like many, many sessions. Like I
Yeah.
would constantly quit out of the game so I could like get clips for the B-roll, and then I would just play it again in like a couple hours and stuff like that. And I just did that over like a week. And I feel like that probably fucked me pretty bad.
I think that
Yeah, I
definitely
did
made it
this in
worse.
like I beat this game in like 2 sessions.
Yeah,
I think
same.
it was two for me as well.
And yeah, the gap between the first session and the second session, I think I stopped maybe when you learned to drop the bomb on your head, and I like literally just forgot that mechanic when I came back, and then I was
Oh
just like
no.
stuck for 5 minutes until I just like went back, and I was like, what the fuck did I do? So yeah, I think it's yeah, you need it's kind of designed to do it in one, I think.
Yeah, one or two for sure.
Were the like unique mechanics in this game? I'm thinking of things like the way it uses fast travel as puzzle mechanics, or like feeling like you're breaking the game by putting bombs on your head. Were those mechanics at least enough to keep you guys engaged, even if it didn't like take all of those elements to their extreme?
I felt like they were pretty extreme mechanics, but like I said before, I thought that they were actually very fun to execute once you know them, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, um, I'm kind of like halfway between Ben and Seth here, where I do actually appreciate this game for actually like taking the time to go further than a lot of these games did. Like specifically Leap Year. Like Leap Year for me, even though I did like that game and I appreciated that game, but I did really want more out of that and the like ideas that they had. But in this game, I felt like they did a lot with a little. Like it's much more mechanically complex than Leap Year is. So like the comparison's a little ho hum, but I actually do feel like they went far enough with the mechanics that they had, and some of the stuff that you're talking about with the fast travel and all that, I think were like super fucking clever, which I appreciated.
A little too clever in my opinion,
I,
but yeah.
How about you, Jordan?
I mean, I think the inverse for me of what Tom said. I think Leap Year is much better than this game because I feel like Leap Year is it's a really well put together giant level, but I think this game is a little too like ham-fisted and clunky where it's like, hey, you can go this way when you know how, but go this way to figure out how. Like there is no, to me, it wasn't clever in the way that they built the world so that you need to like collect all the like the pieces in like the different ways. It was just it was kind of like a level select basically of like you do the level and then you get through and then you do the level and then you get through.
I mean, that's literally
Yeah.
what it is. That's why it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? I don't think the game is trying to say anything else, really.
Yeah, and to me that's clunky. I like that less than
Yeah.
Leap Year, which felt like a whole world that they built, and then the culmination of that was flipping it upside down, and then you have to get through the world. I thought that was awesome. I thought this game's like final section, which should have felt like a Celeste climb or something, where like you put together everything that you learned and maybe like have something sick. It just kind of felt like a couple screens and then you were done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the final
truly,
section was pretty weak. I do agree with that.
even though the final section does have, I think, the best song in the game, yeah, comparing the final section of this game to Leap Year is like, man, it's like I didn't even love the end section of Leap Year, but I could at least recognize the craftsmanship that went into it for sure. And this game only had that on like 1/5 of the scale, where like I could appreciate what they were doing, but it felt like, I don't know, it felt cheaper, I guess. Like it just felt like the scope was like intentionally lower, so I couldn't appreciate that craftsmanship as much. And yeah, I definitely agree with regards to like the actual construction of point A to point B in this game. Um, and Thomas was talking earlier about the length of the game being good, which I agree with absolutely, because I think if this game was even a couple hours longer, then that formula would have gotten very old very quickly.
Yeah, and I just don't see anything wrong with having like linear level design. Like the fast travel shit's only there specifically to go back to where you started once you've learned what the level has to in the mix, and then to utilized in a couple like puzzle areas. But like it's not like puzzle games having a level select has ever. It's not like it's a aberration. Like plenty of puzzle games just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that you just go through, and that's more or less what this game is.
My problem, I don't know about everyone else, but my problem is that it feels like it's trying to present it as something other than a level select. I would have probably liked this game more if it was just a level select, barring some of the other kind of meta stuff that we'll talk about. But I feel like it was almost trying to present itself like a roguelike, but it so clearly isn't, that
Yeah,
presentation kind of bothered me.
Why? In what ways does it try and present itself as something it's not though? Because like I said, it's it's literally giving you numbers when you go to a new zone. Like what about it is screaming like, "Hey, I'm a like interconnected backtracking Metroidvania," other than the fact that like you can run back to where you came from even though you literally never have to until the end of the game. How is it trying to say that it's not that?
I remember there was one section early on, it might have been like the third zone, I want to say, where I got to the point in the zone where it was saying like either go left or go right, and I needed to go right in order to like learn the thing that was needed in order to progress left. But it was the only one in the game where I just happened to guess what it was trying to get me to do in order to go left, and so I went left and I like skipped all of the puzzles on the right. I decided to go back eventually just to see, but that kind of thing where it's presenting me the option felt like it was trying to be that more open style of Metroidvania. Not, its scope isn't like ludicrous, don't get me wrong. It's not trying to call itself Metroid by any means, but just presenting the option of a direction to go when it's not really an option is kind of what I'm getting at.
Like, I guess the way I'm thinking about it is if you ignore the ending of the game where you do have to backtrack to go back to where the game started, like, there's almost no, almost, almost being the key word here, because there are moments where you do, there's like no difference between this and like the way that the interconnectedness of a game like fucking Super Mario Brothers 1 is. It's just like you can go back and forth between the levels in a way that you can't in Super Mario Brothers. And that's the only difference.
Well, let me kind of turn the question back on you. uh, if the game is designed kind of in the manner you're describing, if it were to be designed that way, why not turn those areas where you're choosing between left and right? Why not just make it one contiguous path? Like you get to the end of the right section and then you just have the left section immediately after that instead of having to backtrack.
I don't know, because maybe you have like because the game is all about discovering mechanics with tools that you already have. So like there's plenty of moments where maybe you get to like the 6th or 7th level and maybe you accidentally discovered the mechanic that 6th or 7th level is already about, and you can just go, "Oh, I know how to do this," and just bypass that entire dead end route entirely.
I like Seth's question because I think it calls out why the game feels clunky, because it could just put it at the end. It doesn't really change much unless you're playing the game like a second time, then it changes a lot, but most people aren't going to do that for a game like this.
But why is that clunky? Because like in my like I just described the reason why it exists at all in the first place, which is you might have accidentally discovered the mechanic that you need to solve that, and like I don't understand what's clunky about. Okay, I got to the dead end. I know that this signals the end of this path, and now I just like go through two screens really quick to go back to where I started, and I know how to solve this now.
Well, like I said, that basically happened to me with the situation that I described, and I ended up backtracking, and I think there was literally like a one room that was just a tutorial room to show me how to do the thing that I already did. That does feel clunky to me.
Is it because you felt robbed of content, or is it something more like primal than that?
I had an expectation for what was going to be present when I took the other path, and when it turned out that that was just something that was intended to go to first, that was a disappointment. Like I thought I was going to be getting more content, but it wasn't really anything.
I should interject here and say that everything that we're talking about is within the scope of not knowing anything about the secrets of the game, which might change someone's experience dramatically.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I still know literal zero about any of that. I never even like stumbled on that. I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned something in the Discord today.
The conversation is just about the base game and what is presented to you.
I mean, do you guys want to go into that now, or do you want to keep doing what we're doing now?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just on a diametric like polarity from you guys on this because I think the level design of this game is like fucking brilliant and not something I feel like I've ever seen before.
I think that's fine. I don't agree with it, but I'm not saying that you're wrong for thinking that.
I don't want to put words in Sesh's mouth, but I still think that clunky is the best way to do it. It's not necessarily like bad the way that the level design is like presented. I would still put this above something like a Leckhead, which is the other game by this developer, which I remember feeling significantly more linear. I would put the level design above something like Unsighted, which we played, but it it this is just saying it in a different way, but it just doesn't feel elegant. It doesn't feel masterfully crafted. It's it, it's clever. It's just clever, but the cleverness kind of plays out as clunkiness when you're just zooming through it.
Clever part is the mechanics themselves, not the world and the shit and like the level design and the interconnectivity that's tied to good Metroidvanias, right? Or not good Metroidvanias, but kind of like what the genre likes to include, like non-linear, kind of like huge interconnected world with different paths and stuff like that. Like this game, I felt like didn't have any of that, where Leap Year did.
Yeah, I don't know if this is what you guys are getting at, but I feel like like I feel like level design was very clever, but like when I think of the cleverness, it's always confined to like the screen that I'm looking at, as
Exactly.
opposed to the entire world.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I never really considered this as like a Metroidvania game. That's why I was saying earlier that I feel like outside of the couple times you have to backtrack back to the like two branching paths screen at the start of every level and the end. And I think there's at least one puzzle too, I think, that uses a fast travel point. Or maybe two. But like outside of that, it's like it's easiest for me to think about this game as just a system of Super Mario Brothers levels because that's really just what it is. And like the only reason why those branching paths exist is basically like the hidden pipes in Super Mario Brothers like 2-1 where you can be like, "Oh, I know that this exists, so now I can just jump straight to World 4 or whatever." Like that's literally just like the same thing as Super Mario Brothers level design to me. The only difference being you can quickly travel back and forth, like you can go from 2-1 back to like 1-1 or whatever if you so desire, even though there's absolutely no reason to and the game never tells you to.
I'll address what you said by not addressing any of the actual facts or validity of what you said, and instead just say that all of the 24 hidden trophies in this game have homages to Metroidvanias. That's all I'll say.
Well, I understand that because this game is like part and parcel of Metroidvania, and I have no idea what has to do with any of the like extra trophy, whatever the fuck's shit. So maybe a lot changes. I have no idea, but there's absolutely well, there's not. It's not that there's no Metroidvania aspect to this game. It's just that there's extremely little.
I don't even agree that it's a Metroidvania because you cannot beat the game with the knowledge you need to get to the end. To
Yeah, I
get
don't
back
think
to
it's
the beginning.
Metroidvania. It's just Metroidvania Light. I don't think it's a Brainia.
I think it's a puzzle game. So I don't think it's any. I don't think Metroid anything applies to this game personally.
How is this game not a Metroidvania? Because if you
Because
launch
you
the
need to get
game
to the
right
end to get to the
now,
beginning.
if you launch this game right now, you could bypass almost every single dead end minus whatever the two are that you need to take to get the bomb upgrades. Other than that, you could just skip everything. You wouldn't have to do any of the dead ends outside of getting the 2 power-ups. Because you have the knowledge that you need, because all that the dead end paths do is like build that knowledge base up for you. What is a Metroidvania if not that?
In the strictest sense, yes, but then I would say it's a bad Metroidvania.
Okay, why?
Because it's there's no reason why you can do that other than trying to make it like novel and cool. Like it's not well integrated into the game like it is for Leap Year. Like in a Metroidvania, when you see that there's a platform that you cannot yet jump to, you go, "Oh, there must be a double jump. Oh, there must be some way I can get up there. Maybe it's a hook shot, blah blah blah." This game is just you fall down a hole, there's a left and a right. You go left, there's a key thing there immediately. You go, "Shit, went the wrong path, got to go to the right." And then after you're done with the right, you go to the left. It's not like an interesting path of like, oh shit, now I can double jump. Where can I go with this double jump? It's just, how do I get by this wall?
That's not true though, because like literally every single time that you come across like one of those little like frogs or whatever the hell they are that's blocking a path, you don't know how to unblock that path. But once you go through the dead end path, you're like, oh, I can apply, like, I can figure out to bomb the fireflies in such a way, or I can drop bombs on my head in such a way. The only exceptions to that being the areas that require you to go get the bomb upgrades. Like, that's literally the entire game is just, I don't know how to solve this puzzle right now because the game hasn't told me, so I need to go down this other path where the game will tell me. But if you've already done that, you could just immediately solve the puzzle right away outside again for like the 80th time that whichever paths take you down the upgrades.
Yeah, and I think the main problem with that is the clunkiness of it. Like, it doesn't feel like I learned something in a random place and now I can go to this place that I remember where I can apply that knowledge. It's just, I don't know this. I go to the right, aka the tutorial screen that tells me how to go to the left. Like, that's why it just feels like that the branching path could just be put at the end of the path.
But that's literally like that is the game loop of every Metroidvania that has ever existed.
Yeah, but this does it in a clunky way. That's what I'm saying. Like Leap Year is, I love Leap Year because there's a lot of like, oh shit moments. This game never had oh shit moments to me. It was just, oh, thanks for telling me that. I'm gonna go use it.
Would you feel differently, hypothetically, if this game had that left and right, not at the beginning of the level, but like in the middle of it?
Um, I don't know if the placement matters, but if the levels were designed to be kind of more like interconnected and you learned bits and pieces differently and then would have to go to different places to apply them better, I think that you would hate the game more, Ben, but I think that I would think it'd be a lot cooler because then it would be a lot of like the oh shit moments rather than just like, did I do the tutty to
Yeah.
figure out how to go the other way?
See,
Yeah,
I don't.
I think that you could take the game almost exactly as is, and I'll just throw this as like a example of an area that I would like to see is like you jump into an area and think of like spokes on a wheel. You have like a central hub, and you have like 8 directions that you can go, like 8 different stages that you can go to. 7 of them are like solvable, and one of them is where you need to apply the knowledge from the rest of the level in order to progress. So like maybe someone needs to complete all 7 in order to get the knowledge they need to do the 8th, but maybe someone that intuits things a little bit quicker could only do like 3 and then they can progress a little bit sooner. This game, I don't know, maybe you can do that, but I feel like it was always saved for like the last stage in each zone before you got the knowledge to proceed.
And that's not to say that there aren't some cool ones. Like I like the one that with the arrow pointing to like the breakable wall and like the refreshing the screen one. Like there's definitely cool mechanics in there. I just think the lack of interconnectivity in the world is really why like I thought it was just clunky and not as impressive as something like Leap Year. But it definitely did cool things in places, and like the fast travel point interaction with puzzles, I think was also very cool.
Yeah, very good discrete mechanics that I think if these mechanics were just in a Metroidvania, it could be like one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Like it would be fucking sick.
Exactly. I agree.
I don't know. I still just don't understand this because I feel like this game, like part and parcel, like follows that Metroidvania loop where it's meant to be disorienting by like showing you the goal prior to the end of the path. And what I feel like you guys are trying to argue for here by putting the end of that path either at the middle or the end of the tutorial kind of invalidates the entire point of what the loop of these games is, which is like maybe you had some like weird emergent experience where, oh, I accidentally dropped a bomb on my head at some point and now I just know how to solve this and I can bypass all of this other shit, which is like literally the entire purpose of a Metroidvania is to like gather knowledge and accumulate that knowledge and apply it when you're able to. And this game is just doing exactly that by providing those two branching paths at the start of every level.
I think my problem again though is, well, not again, but it's like when that immersion experience does happen, and like I said, it did happen to me. That literally happened to me. But then when I backtrack, in no conceivable way am I rewarded for backtracking. Like there was nothing there. It was just tutty. So I go back and I feel like I've just wasted my time now. Where another game like an actual Metroidvania might give you some kind of power up at the end of that tutty section or something. And like that, yeah, that just fosters resentment once I recognize what the game is doing and what the formula is. Like now, like what if I just like stood at the left right section and I intuited what I needed to do, just like brute forcing like how I could interact with the puzzle mechanics instead of going through the tutty, and now I skip like 3/4 of the game. Like that doesn't feel great.
I mean, that sounds like a Metroidvania to me. That sounds like more than one way to skin a cat, right? Which is kind of the point of what these games are. And I feel like the actual Metroidvania like aspects of this game are so loose and like virtually non-existent that they're like barely even worth talking about because this game is more or less just broadly linear.
Yeah, there was
But
even points where like I intentionally, because like I figured out the fast travel one where like you use the fast travel like momentum to like figure the puzzle out, but I was like, I'm gonna go through the tutorial anyway just so that I can experience the game, because like I think that giving you that choice isn't even like a good thing, because you could probably just figure out most of them if you wanted to. Like it felt weird to
Yeah.
me.
that's true of all these games, though. Literally all of them.
No,
You could
I'm
brute
not figuring
force.
out
You could
shit
brute
in
force
Void
Outer
Stranger.
Wilds if you were a fucking psychopath.
There's no shot compared to this game. This game, I figured out that fast travel mechanic on like the second thing. Like the second thing I did was like, oh, I figured it
This
out.
game's also all 2 hours long, and Void Stranger's like 50
I mean,
plus.
Yeah.
In fairness to what you just said, Thomas, if someone played Outer Wilds and brute forced the coordinates to the eye of the universe and they thought it was a shitty game because of that, I can't argue with that. Like, yeah, you had a terrible experience. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's just my point. Is that like these games are built on these like there's like a lot of potentiality for these weird emergent moments that would allow you to circumvent a lot of things because the only thing gating you is knowledge. That's why a game like Outer Wilds isn't replayable after you've already beaten it, is because like once you have the knowledge, well, what the fuck? It's not like it left. And
The
that's just the same thing that this game is doing.
the problem for me is that the exploration in Outer Wilds is, it isn't just a tutorial in like explaining to you like you're reading a novel the history of this universe. It's actually fun and engaging, and there's platforming, and like there's characters that you like start to recognize having been to different planets, and you get a sense of their character, and you learn the unique mechanics of each planet, and like all of those are discreetly fun by their own thing. And because there's no formula to it, because it's so emergent, all of that can come in like a variety of ways. This game is extremely transparent in the formula of what it's trying to do, and that just really bugs me. Like I can just see through it, and I feel more encouraged to brute force after that. Like if Outer Wilds was like that and I thought that I could brute force the coordinates, I would. I probably would, and I wouldn't have a
Well,
good time.
That's because this is just like a high concept game built on like one mechanic, much in the same way that Leap Year is. So yes, there's a formula and it wears that formula on its sleeve. It's never trying to hide that fact. So how does this game, like, what makes Leap Year better at doing it than this game?
Sorry, what is it? What is it better doing? What?
At being transparent about its formula and the way it's going about things, because like I said, it is completely transparent about its formula. Like, it's never trying to hide that because it's a game that's just built on one mechanic. And so why are we lambasting this game for it, but Leap Year's getting praised for it when it's the exact same idea?
Keep in mind, for me, this game and Leap Year are going to be very close in scores, but I think Leap Year has two things going on for it. Number one, like, did you predict that at the end of the game the entire game was going to flip upside down and you were going to have to progress?
Do you
Probably
remember
not. I didn't.
my experience with the end of that game? Bet you don't.
Didn't you not flip it? Didn't
I
you
found
sequence break?
that weird pixel perfect jump that I thought solved the game and bypassed the entire bottom of the map. Never saw the bottom of the map a single time in that game.
But did you guess that there would be a map flipping upside downing situation?
Did I guess when I first started playing the game? No.
Like by the time you were like halfway through it, maybe.
I that was too long ago. I cannot put myself in that memory.
Yeah, I mean that's like my only point though, is it's not transparent. It's a nice surprise, almost like a reward when you get to that point. And the second thing is that you might intuit or like find some way to brute force some of the jumping mechanics, but you still have to figure out how to apply that. Like, you have to find a point from which you
Okay.
can jump to do it.
Okay, so did you ever anticipate that you were going to have to manipulate the sequence of bombs through fast travels and blow the fireflies across screens? It's the exact same thing. What's different? What makes one better than the other?
I mean, I'll say it again. I'll just repeat myself. It's level design and interconnectivity of the world. This game has no interconnectivity of the world. Like, you have to go to the end and then you just like go back to the beginning and then you kind of do like a mini leap year sequence where if it came out before leap year, I would praise this game for it, but it's a year later and this game is inspired by leap year and I don't think it did it better.
And here's the part where I get hung up on is why does the game need to be interconnected to be as good or better, or why does that make it so much worse rather than just accepting that this is a linear puzzle game, much like the thousands of other linear puzzle games that we really like?
Because that's what I really liked about leap year. I really liked that about leap year and this game didn't have that.
If you want to give me a totally linear puzzle experience, I will eat it and I'll be happy. This game offers you branching paths, and I don't understand why. Sorry, go ahead.
But it offers you branching paths within those levels though. So like you could think of it as like 1-2, 2-2, 3-2.
As someone who's relatively indifferent to this, I think maybe the issue is that because it's kind of presented as a Metroidvania or Metroidbrania, it kind of fucks with you that it isn't really.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's just easy for me to separate like the phenotypical expression of the fact that there's a mini map and fast travel points from how the game actually plays, which is there's like barely any Metroidvania like the, the Metroidvania aspects of this game are just so light and, like I said, or I keep saying, borderline non-existent, that I just don't even think of it that way. It's
Yeah.
just linear level after linear level. So like I don't understand what the point of, even as a basis of comparison, like talking about its interconnectedness, because this game's not interconnected outside of basically the end of the game.
As an emergent puzzle experience, I think it's okay. As a Metroidvania that it's inspired by, that it kind of does, but doesn't, because it does. You said yourself, it's a Metroidvania. I think that it's bad by that, and I think it has cool puzzles, but the reason why I like it so much less than Leap Year because it doesn't feel like it was a holistically crazy cool put together design. It just felt like a bunch of cool puzzle ideas that he had that he just put in a straight line, basically.
Yeah, and I don't see what's wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just why I like it less than the other Metroidvanias.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
but
my point from the
again,
start was that I would like this game more if it was just a level select.
sure, I would like this game more if it sucked my dick while I played it, but that's not what the game is. So why are we comparing it to things that it's not?
I wouldn't like it more if it was a level select, for the record, because I already think of it like a level select. I don't like it as much as the Metroidvanias because it's not a Metroidvania in the same way that those games are.
Yeah, my problem is that I am thinking of it as a level select, like you guys might be, but the game is not presenting itself as such. I
So
don't like that mismatch.
if you're thinking about it as a level select, then why do we keep coming back to this issue of interconnectedness if we've already accepted that it's a level select game?
I don't think it needs interconnectedness.
I like the interconnectedness of things like leap year and shit like that. And as like a puzzle game, it's fine. It doesn't get better if it suddenly becomes a level select or something. It would be the exact same to me.
Yeah, like this game would basically just be this game would be closer to like Celeste if it was individual discrete levels with zero interconnectedness, but I don't think it's quite that.
And that's why I keep saying that I think that this basis of comparison is kind of like nonsense, because like I wouldn't compare the level design of The Witness to the level design of Baba Is You, because they're like so completely different in every way, shape, and form.
I don't think that this game is as different from leap year as those two games are.
Sure, that is a much more extreme example, but I don't think that this game is like trying to say, hey, look, I am like a totally open world experience with like massive amounts of backtracking and interconnectedness. It just has fast travel points and a map where you can go backwards if you so chose, but the game never asks you to outside of one time at the end of the game.
I have another hypothetical, and maybe this is just too dooley, but what if you took the existing like left-right branches, but you didn't, but they weren't necessarily in the same level as the tutorial?
So like there would be a third
Yeah.
branch. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is like let's maybe like the left-right branch for the tutorial of stage 4 is in like stage 2, which would bring you to like stage 6 or something
Yeah.
like that.
That'd be fine.
You're definitely solving the problem that we're saying, but that might not be the game that they were trying to make.
Yeah, because it would be way harder to make that game, almost
significantly
impossible,
harder.
actually.
That's the part that I'm getting at. That's why I say it's clunky, because I think this was the easy way to make a game like this.
And I don't mind a game that's designed to be a 2-hour experience to like be
That's
straightforward and simple.
I'm not saying you should mind it. I'm not saying you should mind it. I'm saying I didn't like that, because leap year is the same thing. It's a 2-hour experience, but it did all of that, and I think that that was masterfully crafted.
But this game is also like infinitely more mechanically complex than Leap Year is the thing. Like there's way more going on with the puzzles in this game than Leap Year. Like Leap Year had one puzzle really, and it was just that one where you had to drop the shit on that dude's head in like one level. I can picture the screen in my head, but I don't remember the exact puzzle. But outside of that, it was just like very straightforward. It was like built on one mechanic and it basically stuck to that mechanic the whole game. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But this game like repeatedly introduced new mechanics in all what 8, 9, whatever of its levels and has like significantly more depth.
Yeah, but in my case, I don't think that that depth created more sense of wonder or sense of aha moments. It just created senses of I go right, I figure it out, I go left. And as opposed to leap year, which was it kept building on itself, and then when the world flipped upside down and you realized the craftsmanship that went into it, it was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I never even got like anywhere close to a thought like that in this game.
Yeah, there was never like I never really felt a super strong moment, kind of like with the mechanic Ben was talking earlier, where you can knock the firefly into other rooms. That one kind of just felt like okay, if the puzzle is designed for it, I can use it, and if it's not, then I can't. And yeah, that's kind of where I feel with that.
It had cool stuff for
Isn't that
sure.
like all puzzles?
I'm not saying that this game doesn't have cool stuff. Like it definitely has cool emergent moments. Yeah, it didn't do it for me with any sense of like massive wonder like other games
Yeah,
have.
like it did have aha moments, but it never had aha moments.
Yeah. I think because it was like teaching segment and then doing segment, I think is why it robs itself of giving you aha moments, at least for me.
I don't know. I guess my problem is that I feel like this game had way more of that than Leap Year, because Leap Year was so like mind-numbingly simple that I don't even really know where an aha moment was in that game.
Where you flip upside down. and then you're like, oh
I
shit, the
think
whole
it
world is
was.
designed so that you work upside down.
That's not really like an aha moment. That's just like a, oh, that's pretty cool moment.
That's what I was saying. Like
That's
a sense
definitely
of
an
wonder.
aha moment.
Yeah,
That was definitely an aha moment.
It was
How?
a moment of like, oh fuck.
How is oh fuck like oh fuck is like damn that's cool. It's not like a light bulb going off in my head like oh shit that worked.
So the other thing that you're talking about is just kind of when it introduces the mechanics, and then you're like, aha, of leap year. I think of like that as a oh shit, aha, this game's awesome, like culmination of work and design and everything that this game didn't give in the final segment.
As we keep going back and forth on, I'm just trying to establish like what the standard is between this game and Leap Year that makes it so different. That like the incredibly simple mechanics of Leap Year that like were conceptually cool but never like complex enough that made my brain get tickled because like everything was pretty much spelled out for you like on the screens. Like I never really felt aha moments from that because it's like I got to a room, the game tells me how to do that room, I proceed. And that's more or less the same as this game. And like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like the two games to me have like very similar vibes in that regard.
Did this game give you an aha moment when you went backwards through the final stage? Like, did that scratch an itch in that same way?
No, I think I must have just have like a very different definition of what an aha like to me an aha moment is like poring over my Void Stranger or La Mulana notes and thinking, oh, maybe this will work. And then it works. It's not like
Yeah.
coming up to fucking Bahamut and being like, oh shit, like I have to do some weird platforming now. That's not an aha moment. That's an oh shit moment. And those are two like very distinct, separate feelings.
It's an aha in leap year because then you go, oh, that's how you get the final puzzle piece, and then now you have to go back through the whole thing. Like it's not truly like the aha moment of like you are given mechanics and then you do it, but like I think it's kind of like a mini. But for me, it's more the sense of wonder that you get when it happens. That you're like, oh shit. In this game, that the ending sequence of this game is kind of like leap year light. I think. Like if I played this game before leap year, I would have probably thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I will say that the ending section of this game is like definitely the weakest part for sure. Like the one time where the
And
game
it's
actually does ask you to backtrack is the worst part of the
Yeah,
game.
and again, it would be good if it was before the games it was inspired by. If those games were inspired by this game, I think that this game would be immaculate. But the fact that it came after and it does less is kind of where I take the issue.
Yeah, like I was thinking if this game went like full fucking leap year and you had to progress to the beginning from the end of the game, that would be like fucking goaty material. Like that would be fucking crazy. And to expand on that, I mean it in a sense of like maybe, for example, I'm just like tossing this from the top of my head as an example, but maybe like you kill the heart and then the game reduces you down to one bomb and you have to get back to the mouth. Like that could be a really interesting way of like, oh wow, they designed the entire level or the entire map around having one bomb, even though I thought I needed two. That's cool.
I don't know. I think that this game is like a perfect iteration from Leap Year, where Leap Year to me felt like a proof of concept game around one mechanic. This game felt like it was like many intertwined mechanics. And yeah, maybe the map's not as good, but also like the map is linear, so I don't care how interconnected it is.
I think this game has better potential for like if you gave this game like a level editor and people just started making levels with it, it would be a better game because like oh my god, the amount of like sick ass levels that people would make would be awesome. I don't think that you could apply that to Leap Year. So in
Yeah,
that sense, I
no.
kind of agree with you.
Yeah, because like this game is a puzzle platformer, right? Like at the end of the day, what do I care about in a puzzle platformer? Mostly the puzzles, to be honest. Like if I wanted to play a good platformer, I'd focus on a good platformer. I want my puzzle platformer to have interesting, deep, and enjoyable puzzle mechanics. And this game's mechanics shit all over Leap Year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like in terms of the actual puzzling part.
I think Leap Years does it better. I don't think that more complex mechanics mean a better game. I think that it like the whole picture. If anything, it's like a very jarring experience to go from like, this is the mechanic I was doing, fuck that mechanic, throw it out the window. Here's a new fucking mechanic you need to know how to learn. Fuck that mechanic, throw it out the window. Here's a new mechanic you need to learn how to learn. Like, Leap Year felt like more of an experience. This felt more kind of like a segmented, hey, we thought of a new cool idea, let's throw it in. Kind of like what Ben said. Like, he just figured out things within the engine of like, oh, I could build a level around this idea.
Yeah, but I think that that's good because it's like
Sure.
Baba Is You, right? It's like Baba Is You has a very simple idea with a lot of extraordinarily complex mechanics. So it's like you get to a new Baba Is You level or world or whatever, and it's like, okay, maybe you don't see any of the shit from before, but now you get a new word, right? Like that's just how puzzle games work. They throw new mechanics and new ideas and new shit at you like every single time. And because this is a 2 hour game, not an 8 hour game, they're not gonna like repeatedly like avalanche those mechanics on you. They're just gonna be like, hey look, you can do this now. Hey look, you can do this now. Because like the framework by which the mechanics of this game are built on or built in allow for like a lot more degrees of freedom with their complexity.
Yeah, I think that might be boiling down my core issue with this game, which I'm going to summarize as this. The more complex and interesting the mechanics of your game are, the more I want out of it. Like something like Baba Is You,
Yeah.
that like it's very simple in what you like physically have to do, but the like top end of complexity in that game it is fucking ludicrous. You can make fucking calculators in that game. It's ridiculous. But Baba Is You has so much content and such a ludicrous amount of levels that that's fine. There's so much in that game that I feel like it took what it made to its like far fullest extent. This game starts to like, I don't want to say it offends me because that's a little strong, but I just feel like I see so much more missed opportunity because you're right. Like the mechanics in this game are much more discreetly interesting than Leap Year. Like I was saying, if the game had a level editor, but I don't feel like the game utilizes them to their full extent, barring the hidden levels.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing, right? Like maybe the hidden levels probably change a lot of this discussion, but I think why not fucking tell me that there's at least some semblance of fucking something like that in the game, which is crazy to me that they don't.
I always appreciate that actually. I never mind when games like just don't outright tell me, "Hey, there's like an entire layer of shit underneath here."
To not have any inkling of anything, to
My
me,
only issue
sucks.
this is a weird one. My only issue is I believe there are no Steam achievements for it.
There's nothing. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is confusing. But like, how many people do you think went through Void Stranger and just like completed the first loop and all of the other shit and thought that was a cool game, I like that, and then never knew about all of the other like fucking iceberg shit underneath? Because like I personally like, does the game communicate that there's like additional puzzles? Yes, but it doesn't really like guide you to them necessarily.
That's the difference between Ooh and all the other games. You kind of have an idea that there's something there. This game, I had no fucking clue. I found the fucking last trophy, like the Alekhead trophy and like the credits, and I was like, oh, that's a cool callback to the game, and then closed the game and never even thought about it again. I didn't
Yep.
even have a fucking kind of an idea.
Yeah, like I don't want to rewrite their game, but like you get to the Alekhead trophy, which is like it's kind of guided in the direction you're supposed to
Yeah.
go for it, and it is communicating something to you when you go there because there are two rooms that look identical. One of them is the room with the ice cream cone that you blow it up. It has the arrow that's pointing upward, and then there's the next room that you have to break open the ceiling of that one too. Those are your two hints because those rooms are identical in shape to the rooms with the hidden levels. They're all warp point rooms, and just like the arrow underneath the ice cream cone, the arrow above the warp points is supposed to be your hint that you need to like bounce a bomb up and blow up the ceiling, and then you can get up above into the hidden levels. The only thing they needed to do is make it so when you get the Alekhead trophy, you go back to your bedroom and the Alekhead trophy is on the wall and there's 23 empty slots. That's all they needed to do. That would have communicated everything.
Exactly. Even simpler than that, when you touch the Alekhead trophy, it says 1/24, and you would go, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm actually watching the ending now because I just Alt F4'd out of the game when I hit the credits, so I didn't even get the
Oh, you didn't even
last.
do like
No, I didn't
that
even
help
know
world
that
thing.
you. Yeah, I'm watching the ending of it on YouTube now. I feel like this would have like broadcast something to me. Would I have like gone to seek out where to actually do all that shit? Probably not. But this is definitely like something.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I had the feeling of like I thought it was just an homage to their old game because I found the Elektra trophy and then was like, oh, that's cool, and then just closed it. Like, yeah, because it felt like that's
Yeah.
why like when I got there, I was like, what's going on this? And then I found the trophy and I was like, okay, that's it. But
And it
I
plays
didn't
the
know there was anything
fanfare
more.
too. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I found the like dev room or whatever.
exactly, yeah. Whereas in Blueprints, when you get to room 46, no one in that game is like, I'm done, or you can be like, I'm done, but no one's like, that was all the content in the game.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Blueprints example when Thomas was talking about that stuff earlier too. And I think a core difference with Blueprints is that game is fun and entertaining, like all the way through up to the end if you're like really engaged with the puzzles, including like the up to room 46. Is it room 46? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like everything up to and including that is great.
that game constantly tells you at like every juncture that there's like a hell of a lot more to
Yeah.
the game than just getting to room 46 though. So that's not even like analogous because that's totally different.
My only point is that everything up to and including those things is fun.
Even Animal Well, a game that doesn't tell you fucking anything, you get a feeling of I can do more.
Oh, I should also mention while we're talking about these hidden trophies, there's also 3 meta ones.
Edit the game file one style shit.
That's what people thought that you had to do before they figured out how to do them.
Oh, that's funny. What do you have to do?
There's one where you have to die before ever hitting a checkpoint.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's the only one I know. I forgot how I found it. But in order to do that, you need to beat the whole fucking game, and then when you loop back to the beginning, you can fucking do it. You have to beat
I
the
thought
whole
you could
game
do it
like
at the
without
start of the
dying or
game.
something. No, like I don't know. I go only off this. I found it in comments of something that like I think a YouTube video showing all the trophies where yeah, like he said you had to beat the whole game, and then that gives you like the ability because you need 2 bombs or some shit. I don't know. There's some reason why you need to beat the whole game and then get back to the beginning of the game. Because you can't kill yourself without having beaten the game first before you get to that first checkpoint.
Oh, I see. Okay. Another one is you can not get eaten by the bird at the start of the game if you like inch to the right and back up.
That's crazy.
And the third one, I'm not really seeing how to do it. It just says that the guide I'm looking at just says if an error occurs while loading a save file, you'll be warped
Oh
to
yeah,
the room statue.
that sounds like save corruption. Like you just
Yeah.
edit a binary file and then it can't load, and then that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Alt F4 during an autosave or some shit.
Oh, that's a cool way to do it.
I don't know. This game's cracked.
I think
The
that
more I
stuff's
learn
cool
about it, the
for
more
sure.
I like.
But I can't even like comment on that at all. I can only comment on that conceptually because I didn't experience any of it. Because
Mhm.
and I'm still pissed that
Yeah,
it
like
didn't. There's nothing. I can't believe there's nothing.
yeah, I am raising my score a little bit out of existence for it, but I would have raised it more if I had found them and done them because like I said, my core issue with this game is I just feel like the mechanics weren't pushed far
Yeah.
enough, which the hidden levels solve. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it just makes me like the game even more. And I already like the game a lot.
It gives me potential to like the game more, but I don't know what they are like at all. I think it's a
yeah,
cool idea.
and like I'm having to balance my actual experience versus like the concept of a thing that I didn't have time to do since I
Right.
found it so late. So it's I don't want to just toss out points for something I didn't experience, you know.
Same.
Oh no, I'm not changing anything in my final writing thing, which specifically mentions I don't know anything about the post game stuff. And also, I think like one thing to keep in mind too is that with a game like Animal Well, for example, like it's obvious that there's post game because of how much like fucking social fucking bullshit there was with that game when it got released. I think if I had just straight up played that game and had never read a single comment anywhere about it at all ever, I wouldn't have had any inkling that there was like additional shit. I would have thought that like a lot of it was just like cool extra art. because
I mean,
that's more of a commentary on how poorly designed the post game of that game is. Which is probably the same case here because I just don't know anything about this game. But like I think that going into a game with some degree of knowledge about it, like with Void Stranger, for example, like I know that there's a shit ton of post game in that game as well, just because of talking to you guys and the internet writ large. Whereas this game, who the fuck talks about ooh?
I disagree with Animal Well because the egg system, like the egg, you figure out that there's eggs, and then if you get all the eggs lead you to start to get into the community thing. So I think it's all conveyed to you.
I don't remember enough about that game to be honest.
And then Void Stranger, and it's never satisfactory, and it always feels like that there's more. Like this game, I can't believe that there's no anything, that there's some shit going on. Like not a Steve achievement, nothing.
Void Stranger is also a weird one because I don't know. I wouldn't really call any of that game a post game. It's kind of like Blueprints where
Yeah.
it just keeps fucking going.
There's definitely a post game, which is like the DLC content that they added. That's what I would call
Yeah,
post game. But yeah, to your point, yeah, it's just like a game for 90% of the experience.
I'm thinking of like normies who see credits and think that they're done. And I think that there's probably like a non-trivial percentage of people who never engaged with any outside Void Stranger content and know that there was more after the first time that you see the credits, who probably just like thought they played a cool little Sokoban game.
People that played Nier Automata got the first ending and called it,
Ban.
even though the game
That's
literally
a good
tells you.
Ban.
That'd be a good concept.
That would have sucked ass if that happened to me.
Do you guys feel like we're done with the puzzly stuff? We can talk about some of the other assets.
I think the music was fucking dope.
Oh yeah, music in this game's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
I might have a hot take. While I was playing the game, I thought the music was great. I listened to the soundtrack today at work. One good song on the entire thing, and that's it.
Is it
Oh,
And that
there's
was the
one?
last zone.
I mean, I don't
no.
necessarily, I don't
Disagree.
necessarily think that there's anything wrong with that. Also, disagree because I also listened to it today and I like it. But I don't think that like, I think that there's three different kinds of soundtracks. Okay, there's a soundtrack that's good inside the game, shit outside the game. There's soundtracks that are good outside the game, shit inside the game. Those are rare.
Yeah.
I can't really think of many examples.
Paradise
Of
Killer. Keep going.
that. Yeah, good one. And then there's like Clair Obscur, things that are both, right? I think that this game does work better inside the game, but I do like it outside the game when I listened to it today. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
I was kind of I was wondering about that because like I thought I agreed with you with the fact that like the soundtrack for this game works really well inside the game and not as well outside. But and I didn't go back to the game after considering this, but I was thinking as I was listening to it, like, are these songs evocative or do they just like sound good while I'm puzzling? Those feel like two different things, and I didn't really get a sense as I was listening to the soundtrack that like there were one or two zones that I remembered, and that's like the icy zone, the like light blue zone, and the final zone. Those ones were very evocative of those zones, but the rest were not to me. Which might be a broader issue with like the theming of this game and like the setting that you're in more than anything else. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think like to really get those like 10 out of 10 soundtracks, which I mean, obviously this game is not. This game is just kind of like it's nice and tight, but it's not like something I'm going to be listening to for years from now. But I think to reach those heights, you need to have some sort of like you need to have something to tie it to, right? Something in the narrative, something in the character, something in the whatever. And this game obviously like has none of that anywhere whatsoever.
I honestly think the soundtrack is the best part of the game. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I do like the soundtrack. I think the one criticism I think I could levy at the soundtrack is it leans on its leitmotif a lot, but also
Yes.
I like that sound. A
I do
lot.
too.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the main melody that he found is so good, and then the whole thing is just that, and that's why that's why I like it.
Yeah. And the more I listened to that leitmotif, the less I liked it too. So I don't know.
I mean, that's fine.
I
just liked it a lot.
Yeah, I also like it a lot. It had this like really kind of light airiness to it that in a lot of the ways that some of the composition and melodies are set up actually reminded me of like PlayStation RPGs. I don't know why.
I was
I don't
hoping you
know.
were going to say the same game as me, which is Luigi's Mansion. I felt like the soundtrack was like a happy version of Luigi's Mansion soundtrack.
I've never played that game, so
Oh,
but
okay.
I believe you as a result.
I was getting like a older video game style. Like there's
Yeah.
one of the
Oh, yeah, for
songs
sure.
had something that sounded a lot like Super Mario RPG. I can't remember what off the top of my head.
Yeah, it definitely has that quality of like late '90s, early 2000s, more so late '90s, like VGM composition, which is definitely a big reason why I liked it.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like Paper Mario, kind of like all the stuff that you guys are saying. Like it kind of
Oh
has that
yeah.
vibe of everything.
Yeah, oh my god, the soundtrack was so similar to Super Paper Mario, which is a
Yeah.
goated fucking soundtrack, by the way. Oh my god. Terrible game, great soundtrack.
I mean, I think the songs in this game are like, I don't even know if they're more than like 45 seconds long each, and then they just loop on themselves. But like, I think that they're all fucking awesome to listen to, and they're fun, and they're not intrusive to puzzles because obviously you don't want. Void Stranger is a weird game in that like the music is so fucking good, and you could still do the puzzles while you're playing it. But typically, you don't want puzzle music to power the puzzles of a game.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny with the Void Stranger example because I just think to the chase sequence that is
Dude.
still puzzling and it's
That's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. It's
It's
fucking
so
insane.
good.
What is an example of another puzzle game that has like a 10 out of 10 soundtrack? We can, if you want to
Void
call Lama
Stranger.
Lana a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that, I mean, like those are the two, right? I can't think of anything else.
I can't think of Baba's used music, so I defer to Seth if that's a good soundtrack.
I don't remember that soundtrack at all. Does it even have one?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
I
I
don't
was
know.
wondering.
Obra Dinn, I don't know if it's 10 out of 10, but it's like 9
It's
and a
pretty
half.
good.
Oh yeah, Oberdins is really good. The only thing that holds Oberdin back is it doesn't have that many actual songs.
Exactly.
But the songs that are in
fucking
there are awesome.
Soldiers of the Sea is like that's 10 out of 10
Yeah,
unbeatable.
that's a good shout. Oh, the Outer Wilds soundtrack. That's great.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was gonna die on the hill that Outer Wilds has one of the best soundtracks of any game ever.
I think Outer Wilds worked better inside of the game, personally, but I still think it's really, really, really good.
I mean,
outside of the game.
I think if you have like a predilection to listening to like that kind of like ambient spacey Tangerine Dream style shit, then the Outer Wilds soundtrack hits really hard. But
Sure.
if you're not the kind of person that likes to listen to that shit outside of those situations, then yeah, it's not gonna make sense. I fucking love that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a case of me having like very, 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 very strong emotional attachment to that game, but songs like The Sun Station, I think that's the title of it, just sounds like a fucking Hans Zimmer song to me. Like I'm like watching fucking Interstellar or something.
Yeah.
I always forget the number, but like 4.32 billion years later, that song is fucking incredible. Just go listen to that song. There is a really good soundtrack. I don't know. It's more than just ambient, I think.
I think it's definitely enhanced by the emotions that you're experiencing by playing the game, for sure, as well. Ben, what's your favorite puzzle game soundtrack?
My problem with like these soundtracks is that, like, again, I mentioned this in the Game Awards episode, but like, I'm a guy that like, if you want a soundtrack to stick with me, I need the brainworms, which means I need the repetition, and these puzzle games are way too short to ever like leave a lasting impression on me ever. Like, if you ask me what the songs from this game sound like, and I know we talked about like a bunch of different games just now, but I'm talking about ooh or oh or however you say it. Like, I can't even imagine what the song sounds like, much less like hum it for you. You know what I mean?
If you don't remember the main melody, you definitely won't remember it because, yeah, to your point, like you're going, each area lasts what, maybe 15 minutes, maybe. So yeah, it's tough to have them stick.
We need to make Ben play Void Stranger.
I did play it. I didn't beat it though, but I played it.
How much did you play?
Only for soundtrack purposes.
I definitely did not get to the credits.
Oh, I know that. I wanted to know if you got past like the first 5 floors. That game's fucking hard.
The last thing I remember in that game, I was in like a turn-based RPG battle, and
That's
I
very
died.
early. That's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then exactly. So I didn't play that much, but that's basically where I stopped.
I don't even think it got to the Sokoban.
He probably did, but not where it actually starts to get like real like kick you in the dick hard.
Did you guys have anything else? There's like a little bit in the narrative we could talk about, but there's not a ton.
Is there?
The only bullet point I wrote for narrative is 2 words. What's that?
What did you guys think of the options menu being like so minimalist?
I thought that was fun.
I never go to an options menu unless the game gives me a reason to, and this one never did, so I don't even know.
Oh,
what
you
it
don't even know what
Maybe
it looks
when
like?
you say minimal,
I don't think I did either.
when you say minimalist, do you mean like it was actually like they had icons right for everything? They didn't actually explain what the
Correct.
icons were, so you
The
kind of had to
options
like
Oh
menu.
yeah,
figure
yeah,
it
yeah. I
out.
did see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The options menu felt like a mini fucking puzzle game, and that bugs the fuck out of me when games do that. Like, it's supposed to be accessibility, and it's supposed to be just a fucking separation from your bullshit puzzle mechanics. The fact that it's like minimally explained and like you need to interact with everything to figure out what it does bugged the shit out of me. But I
I'm gonna
think it's
launch a
just a
game
me
right now.
pet peeve.
Sorry.
Like it'll show like a monitor and have like a number next to it, or it'll show like a music note and have a number next to it and shit like that, and that drives me
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
I guess that's kind of objectively not a good thing. But one thing I did like, and this is like the maximum minimalist you could possibly be, is that when you open the game up, you're just in the game, and I really, really liked that
Yeah.
actually.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like that for sure. I like title screens, but I think it's more nostalgic for me. But I have no issue either way.
There was a game that I can't remember the name of that I was considering putting in our bucket for potential Tash games. But I looked at a Steam review and I saw two things. Number one, I saw the word cozy. Number two, I saw a sequence of words that said too many tutorials. I just want to play the game, and that's when I decided not to Tash it.
Is that like every cozy game? I don't know.
It might be.
What game, Seth?
Oh god, I didn't want you to ask me that. I can't remember the name because I fucking flushed it the second I saw that shit.
Yo, I launched a game just to look at these options menus. I'll be honest, the only one that's like really egregious is the top one, which is like the video graphics options,
Yeah.
whatever. I have no idea what the fuck any. I even flipped some of them back and forth, and I still don't know what they are.
I think I'm more like pet peeve acclimated to when options menus are obtuse like that, and then this game was just like the culmination of what I hate about options menus like that. So I don't think that it's like actually. I think it's pretty bad, like objectively, because like why would you make an options menu that obtuse? But also like I hate it way more than probably everyone else does.
I don't like it. I mean, I agree with the like what you said, where if you're gonna do that, it shouldn't be a puzzle. It should definitely still be obvious. But at the same time, this didn't feel like a game that needed a lot of accessibility. I say, as a straight white male with no physical disabilities.
Just
I always
mental
look for
ones.
Screen Shake. I always go to Screen Shake because yeah, it fucks
Did
me
this
up real
game
bad.
have screen shake?
I don't think so. But before I start any game, I go to the options menu because I'm like, turn off screen shake, turn off motion blur. That's the two things I need to turn off in games.
Yeah, motion blur is the one thing that will get me to go into the options menu for every game that has it, so I get that. And screen shake. I just don't pre-fire it. I let them show me that it's there first.
Yep. I honestly, I've started doing that for motion blur too. Like I actually, like with Control, I decided not to turn it off because it didn't feel like terrible to me. But Jordan, the game that I found earlier was Caravan Sandwich.
Oh, sure. I know that game.
My
I'm
thing-
surprised that game has a lot of tutties. Go ahead, Tom.
My thing with motion blur, and Ben, maybe you can shed some light on this, but my thinking is that a lot of motion blur is done with shaders, and so like the first time that you get into a game and you like wheel your mouse around and it like craters your FPS is like, oh, I fucking hate this. And in my mind, that's like a shader getting calculated and cached like the first time you see it, and then I just immediately delete it from existence.
Yeah, like I don't know too much about like that part of the game development. Like I know what shaders are, and I don't know if it counts as shaders, but it's post processing, so I'm not sure if that's the same thing as shaders or not. But regardless, I think the main reason why motion blur is used, especially in console games, is to mask
Yeah.
stuttering FPS.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
AI
that makes sense.
overview. AI overview says yes. Motion blur is a common visual effect implemented using shaders, often as a post processing technique that runs on the GPU.
Oh, there
So I
you
think
go.
Right.
I think that's probably what it is. Then is it's caching that shader the first time you see it, and so every time I see it as the first time when it just like runs like shit, and then I'm like, no, get the fuck away.
That's funny. I guess just like tiny little bit of narrative thing. The only thing I put down, Thomas, you said, "What's that?" with regards to the narrative earlier. did it pass the bar? Did it pass the just enough bar like we've talked about in a couple episodes?
No.
No, I don't think so. It put the story in the bag to like a fucking extreme. Like
It really did, yeah.
to
That's
the
a great
point
way
where
to put
like
it.
I've like because of the way that I played this game, because I'm like way too much of an Oshiete-kun, like the fact that I had to look up like multiple mechanics felt like I think of something like an experience like Hello Charlotte, where I also looked up all the puzzles, but because there's something more to the game than the puzzles, like there was some value that I extracted out of it. But in this game, like I felt like I robbed myself by doing that, and I basically
Mm.
removed the value, and I did it on purpose, and it sucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love the callback to calling yourself an Oshiete-kun. That's very funny.
Yeah, I was waiting to use that somewhere.
That's great. That's like a perfect example of the way you played this game too. I think that there's games that need to pass the narrative bar, and there's games where like the fact that there's like just zero, like they needed something like so that you actually had characters to draw and not just like stick figures and like white pixels on the screen or whatever. And this game is the latter. The coolest part of the narrative of this game is that the title is a caterpillar and you play a caterpillar, and
Yeah.
that's it.
But that's also the worst part because then it's
You
tough to
want to
talk
know
about.
the worst part about that is I didn't know that you were a caterpillar until you said it in this podcast.
That's so fucking funny.
I didn't even think about that for some reason.
So you were just like, why the fuck is this game called Ooh, This Is Stupid?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for me, like, I don't know, like, no, it didn't need a narrative by any means. I think the biggest disappointment for me was what I described earlier, where I was like, okay, I'm inside this bird. It's gonna be cool. Like, I mean, I see the mouth of this bird. The ending thing that you see is its heart, and it'll be cool if like each zone that I go into is just like a different like section of this bird, like I'm playing Bowser's Inside Story or something like that. But it kept like baiting me into thinking it was going to do that. Like when I got to the brown section, I was like, "Ha, I'm in the colon." But it was just kind of disappointing for me, even if I don't think the game needed to do it. It was just like a what could have been scenario for me.
I actually agree. I think it set bad expectations with the opening cutscene, and then not to have the game
Yeah,
thematically be built around that, like Monstro, excuse me, from like in Kingdom Hearts or something. Like, yeah, I think it literally was a negative that they introduced a narrative into the game. I agree.
yeah, and like you don't need to like construct the levels themselves around it, but just like in the section before you go to the heart, you see like veins on the like black segments, like the black blocks on the edges of the screen. Just like little stuff like that would have been nice.
Yeah. Usually I hate rewriting the game, but like that's such like an easy slam dunk that wouldn't have even been hard to implement that I don't really understand why they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple things where it did feel a little bit like scope limited in terms of solo dev project. So I don't want to like lambast that stuff too much for sure, but again, I just can't get over the feeling when I'm playing a game and there's just such easy slam dunks that
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, I think they set the expectation is the problem, right? Like you say, a bird eats you, so then you think I'm going to be inside a bird, and you don't feel like you're inside a bird. So like it's like shooting yourself in the foot. Like just don't have the bird fucking eat me, and I won't think that I'm inside a bird.
Yeah. Yeah, like similarly, I had this other expectation that I'm not going to criticize the game for. I had this expectation where I was like, it just feels right that I would get like 3 bombs. That just feels like the right number to me, and it never did that. But I'm not going to criticize the game for not doing that. Like it's fine that it didn't.
I definitely thought,
but the other ones are examples where it definitely set the example.
I kind of thought that I was going to be a long ass caterpillar by the end of the game, but yeah, that's not the game's fault. That's just me kind of like extrapolating where I thought the direction we were going was, like kind of
Right.
like almost like Snake kind of thing, but then it wasn't that at all.
Yeah, it's just a number of things where I just consistently felt the scope limited, and it just felt so transparent, and it just consistently bugged me. But I'm only going to criticize it for some of those.
And to piggyback on that, I want to say that I think $10 is way too fucking much for this game.
That I will agree
Yeah,
with.
that's why I pirated the game, because when I saw that shit, And I was like, you guys said the game was 2 hours, and I look at Silk Song, that shit's 19.99. I was like, I have to pirate this game out of principle.
So okay, Silk Song is that's
I
kind of
know, I know that's an
that's a
extreme
tough one.
contrived example, but still, this is $10 for a 2 hour
Yeah.
game, and I know that
Yeah.
like you can like compare it to like other like hobbies, like watching a movie in a movie theater, but like still, it's a really hard sell. Like
I
at
don't
least
know.
for me.
I mean, the argument I always make with myself is who's the money going to? If this was like a fucking EA
That's
game,
fair.
yeah, I would have pirated it, but this is going to some dude that probably lives in like a 300 square foot apartment in Tokyo,
Yeah.
so he can have my $10.
No, I
That's
agree.
fair.
It probably pays for his like month's worth of groceries with the exchange rate.
Even if I hated this game, I would never refund it for that exact reason. Like, there's a lot of games like that I'll just like buy and be like, fuck it. It looks cool enough, even if I didn't like it, that I still want to support you and what you do. And this game definitely falls under that. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
because Off got shit on for costing $15, I needed to bring it up for this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
I-
$10 is way too much, for sure.
I think like supporting the developer is a fair way of looking at it, though, not just for like, like I want this person to succeed, but also a matter of like, imagine if this game had like, I don't want to say AAA budget, but imagine if it just had like, just imagine if the developer had like 5 times the amount of time and resources to work on this
Yeah.
game. It would have been a fucking incredible game.
We might still get DLC or something, right? We don't know. Well, at least I
Right.
didn't look into what he's doing, so maybe he will do kind of like a crazy big DLC ad or something. Because like even Leap Year had like another calendar shit. So
Yeah, and it's like, despite all the criticisms I've had for this game throughout this, like it is still a good game. I'm glad that it exists. I liked it quite a bit more than Head, which was his first game. So yeah, it's definitely not the kind of game that if I had bought it, I would refund. Is there anything you guys want to knock out before we go into ratings?
I think I'm good at least. I just
Yeah.
feel like I have a lot less to say about these games just because I'm not like a puzzle head.
I still think what you said was all very valid and funny. I think the not knowing the
That's
title.
why to go.
fucking
That's why I
awesome.
try to. That's why I try to contribute
Did
for the
not
most
realize it as a
part.
calculator is so sick. I'd be like, that's like playing VVV and not realizing that the point is that the title is spikes. It's like the same fucking thing.
All right, we'll jump into ratings. I got a random number generator here that I'll use to do it this time. It's 1. Thomas.
Yeah. So, as much as I really hate the actual term Metroidvania, and as much as debate has happened as this game not being a Metroidvania, which I think is cringe, this game's definitely a Metroidvania, I do have to hand it to them. They make for some really fucking fun games. I feel like there is just there's just infinity room for like clever expression in the sort of puzzle platforming design of the genre, and there's just so much room to just go nuts. And I was like, obviously this game shares some DNA with Leap Year, and I was really impressed by that game and its ability to like pack a lot into such a small and simple package. And I felt like this game went way above and beyond that entire concept in terms of its actual puzzle mechanics, which again is the reason I play these games, because I think that these mechanics are fucking great. And I felt like even though the 2 power-ups that you get are maybe an argument against it being a Metroidvania, but they added so much mechanical and puzzly depth that I feel like this game really lived up to what was on the tin. And I said I was going to just read this verbatim based on our conversation. So as I was writing this, I had not heard of any of the secret shit that we sort of got into, sort of didn't really get into, because I don't think any of us really did much of it. Um, but I really do wish that I had interfaced with that, because it sounds like I would have fucking loved it. Um, and maybe my one singular complaint with this game, outside of the ending being kind of a really weak platforming section, is that I always wish that these games like push it a little bit more. But and we talked about that earlier. That was one of Seth's points. But I feel like with this game, it did just enough to where it left me wanting more, but also at the same time not feeling like I like closed the game with blue balls the way I did with Leap Year and a lot of these other games. So again, I think that secret stuff may have like solved that entire issue, and this literally might have been like a fucking 9.5 for me if I had done it. But as it is, I think it's like a really soft 9, or like I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere between 8.5 and 9, and I think I'm just gonna round down what it is in my head because I like this game a little bit more than Leap Year, which I rated an 8, and I'll just say it's an 8.5.
God damn it. And you said 9. Oh, we're
Damn,
all
I
thinking
was-
the
I
same
was
thing.
hoping you would
We're all
stick with
thinking the same
9.
Damn, that's funny.
That's good stuff.
I mean, just to respond to Tom, I agree that it is a Metroidvania, and like I just think it's a very weak Metroidvania.
I think that the term is
It's very
shit.
weak. Yeah,
It's-
the
yeah,
term in
it's shit.
itself is a weak term. I agree with that for sure. Um. So yeah, for me, I mean, I've kind of already mentioned it, but I think that this game coming out after all of its inspirations and then not feeling like it really built on any of them for me, and then kind of like what Seth said a lot, which is that, and Tom said, I mean, like there's complex mechanics, but the game is 2 hours long, and so that's like a big like clash for me. Like with the complex mechanics, it should have been more like 4 or 5 hours so that they could really like sit with them for a little bit, but instead you just kind of have these like concepts that kind of just didn't get to the where I would want them to get to, and that's why I think that like Leap Year was so good, because it was a simple concept that they really like explored well enough, and it felt good to like kind of build upon itself versus kind of the jarring pulls left and right. But I do like I mentioned, the soundtrack is super fucking cool, and the visuals do well enough. I don't think that they're like breathtaking, but I mean it wasn't like hideous to look at, like it was fine. And I definitely think that there was a lot of like cool individual moments in the game. So for me, it's a 4.5.
Damn, I shot low and still didn't shoot low enough.
I did not expect negative.
4.5 is not negative for me. 4.5 is like pretty good.
Well,
I think is what I landed
yeah.
on.
Negative in terms of my scale. I
Sure,
guess.
sure. Yeah.
I was just way off.
I do this thing with Jordan where when I'm like in that little like form filling out my guesses, I write my gut feeling for what I think he'll rate it, and then I subtract 1. And I even sat there, I was like, I should probably just go 1 more, and I didn't. I wish I did.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad experience. And again, like when I looked at my scale, I think like 3 is where the game starts to get to okay territory. So I think it's still like good and even like recommendable to people. Yeah, I just think it's kind of weird that it came out after the other games and it doesn't feel like it advanced them.
I would argue this is like one of the most recommendable puzzle games out there. I think like
I don't know who I'd recommend.
It feels very
to.
approachable.
Yeah, I agree. It's very approachable. It's not it's not too difficult. It's not too obtuse.
I think to Ben's point though, like Ben would not have
Ben
been able
is
to
an
beat this
outlier.
game because I think, well, that's what I'm saying though. If you want to think like, if you recommend this to someone who's like a Call of Duty gamer, I think they would hate it because you need to have like a baseline understanding of how to solve puzzle games for this game to click. And if not, you're just going to hit a wall and have no fucking clue.
Well, sure, but again, like, you're not going to recommend something to someone that you know that they have zero interest in. That's why Ben is an outlier. I would never recommend any puzzle game to Ben, much less this one.
I mean, I would recommend Blueprints to anybody across the board if you like
Except
puzzle games
Ben.
or not. Oh no, I'd recommend it to him. I mean, Ben.
You
lost
can
the
recommend
Blueprints.
it. I even played it technically.
Well, he
That's
lost
true.
But he lost the Blueprints not because of it was a puzzle game, but because it had terrible
Controller
controller
support.
implementation. So
Yeah.
we don't even know if he likes it as a puzzle
Yes,
game.
we do. Come on.
I
Yes,
think-
we do.
Again, I think up to room 46.
Up to room,
think Ben
up
might
to
like
room
up to room
46.
46.
Yeah, up to room 46 Ben would like. After that,
Exactly.
it's a wrap. But
Yeah,
up
I
to
mean,
room 46
yeah.
is just like a kind of a different flavor of Slay the Spire though. It's not really
Exactly.
it's not really like a puzzle game up until you get past room 46.
I mean, it still kind of is, but yeah, to your point, like yes, but that's why I would recommend that game to everyone. There's not a single person I'd be like, Blueprints isn't for you.
Yeah, I guess if Chris can put like however many hundreds of hours he's put into
Yeah.
that game, probably anyone
I
could.
think the big thing is that Blueprints emulates escape rooms very much so,
Yes.
which is a pretty normie coded thing. I think. Is it? I think
yeah.
it is.
No, I agree.
I've
think
done
that this game is, like,
escape
one
rooms
level
at
in.
work, so yeah.
I think this game is somewhere between Blueprints and Baba Is You for recommending to somebody. I think I'd recommend this game slightly before I'd recommend Leap Year, especially for like a casual style gamer.
Leap Year to me feels that doesn't really feel like a game I would recommend to too many people. I feel like that's like that game is like a that game's like a one of those like little mini like cups of cappuccino that you have at a fancy Italian restaurant after you finish your meal, you know?
Yeah.
Like you have to be of a certain persuasion to appreciate something like Leap Year, I think.
I mean, even then, Ben still liked it. Just for the record, just throwing that out there. So
Yeah, no, but
it's
I
so
think
wild
I
because I
think
feel like I would recommend Leap Year over any of these games.
well, what and like I'm not saying the like person of persuasion for Leap Year has to be someone inclined to puzzle games. I think that you have to like platforming games and like interesting design mechanics, and that's
Yeah.
what that game is.
if you like games, you'll like Leap Year.
Yeah,
Which is why I think
exactly.
Ben likes it.
Yeah, and another thing for me is also the price point of Leap Year.
Exactly.
That's why like I would literally recommend this game to actually literally 0 people.
How much was Leap Year? Wasn't it like $2?
Yeah, I think so.
It was.
It's $5
Yeah.
off
Was it
sale.
$5?
That's crazy.
It's $5. Yeah, it's on sale for $4 right now.
Gotcha.
All right, Ben, you're up next.
All right, let's see what I put down for this. So this is a very odd game for me to rate, and I don't think that there's no way I could give like a legitimate rating to this game. So I'll kind of like just describe like how I feel and how I think. So like there were just many moments throughout this game where like I felt like this was a 10 out of 10 and then suddenly it's like a 1 out of 10. You know what I mean? Just like it just kept like whiplashing
That's
back
perfect.
and forth. Like whenever I got into these like situations that like really frustrated me, like I just wanted to uninstall so bad. But like when it when I actually knew how to do the mechanic and doing those mechanics that were like really novel, like well designed and they were fun to execute. That was like a really cool thing for me, and I have to give respect to the game dev himself because like I just imagine him like puzzling all this shit out himself when he was making it. Like it was literally a puzzle game for him to make this game. But the problem is like he cooked so fucking hard in my opinion that his brain was so fucking big that when you put my brain next to his, like my brain looks like it plays Madden, you know what I mean? And it just made me want to like hate parts of the game out of spite. So like I can't, but I still can't knock. Like objectively, the game does like so much cool shit that like even though like there's some parts of it that like really pissed me off, like just gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like I don't think that's a fair score, but it's like I just want to take my like my anti puzzle bent out of it and just like kind of I don't know if this is like a good way to rate a game, but it's just like it feels like it's a score that like I would give it if I was like writing a review for IGN or something. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Like, and I was assigned to write a review for this game.
I mean, I don't mind that. Like, I do that a lot when I rate games too. It's kind of like take what my like I try to anyway. Take what my like very obvious personal biases are out of the equation and just examine it as like a work. You know.
I don't do that for the record.
Yeah.
I do that. I do that for like everything. I do that for anything that I like.
Yeah, my ratings are like a relative scale of my enjoyment for that game compared to all the other games as well as I can. That's why I think like 3.5 is where I like is like the okay bar. If you're like a which if I think most people 3.5 is like a abject failure, but for me like 3.5 is like I could begin recommending games at that level.
Yeah, 3.5 is like my refund score.
Exactly. That's why I think mine's very weird.
Yeah, mine is like fairly linear where 5 is like this game made me feel nothing. Once it dips into the 4.5 range, it's like I am beginning to wish that I hadn't played this game, and 5.5 is I am glad that I have played this game. But yeah, like as for me, it's kind of funny comparing to Ben, because I mean I'll just say it right off the rip that my my score is going to end up being a 7 out of 10, which is really funny because I think I arrived there in the opposite way of Ben, which is that throughout almost because Ben, when you started, you said at some points it was a 1, at some points it was a 10. It was the polar opposite for me, where almost my entire time playing it was a 5.5, and I had to like fight and fucking argue my way out of that position because I don't know, there was something about the presentation of the game where I just couldn't really justify a 5.5 even though that's how I was feeling. So like towards the end of the game, especially with like the crawl back up to the mouth, I was starting to move between like a 5.5 and a 6.5 because the puzzles are good. Like truly, the puzzles in this game are unique, they're creative, they're fun, like they even have a little bit of platforming to engage that side of your brain if that's something you want to do when you're puzzling as well. Like not a lot of puzzle games really engage that side, which I always appreciate, where there's that added level of dimensionality to it. And the second bomb just explores that wonderfully well, I think, in really complex and interesting ways. I think this game does a good job of making you feel like you're breaking it. Like I remember there was a point where I literally just thought that I was stuck, because it was a point where you bomb yourself upwards and you're in this little alcove and there's a checkpoint in that alcove, and if you drop down you'll die, and you have to I think that might be the first puzzle that teaches you that you need to like side shift your bombs to platform upwards. But before I learned that, I was like, wait, I just did I just hardlock my game? I'm about to like post this to our Discord because I think I fucked up. And that realization of no, you didn't fuck up, this was just like a learning moment for you, was really cool. And I wish there were a couple more of those, but I think this game did do that phenomenally well. By the end of this, and kind of like thinking about the soundtrack and everything else, uh I thought this was going to be a 6.5. Then I found those goddamn hidden levels, and I didn't have time to do them because I only found them at like 6 hours before we did this podcast, so I didn't have time to actually like go in and play them. But I watched some videos of them, and man, the fucking complexity that those things add looks fucking crazy, and I wish I had time to do them before this podcast. And this game does legitimately earn bonus points for all of the trophies that you get for doing that, being like homages to some of the best fucking games ever made, and some like personal favorites of mine, like La Mulana 2. Maze of Gallius was in there. Linelith was in there, which is a game I don't even know if you guys have heard of, but I think that game's fucking sick too. Just like random, really cool examples of wearing its inspirations on its sleeve. If I had done the hidden levels as part of this, I may have given this like an 8, maybe. But I think because I didn't, and kind of the things we were saying with regards to communicating that stuff to the player, I think I'm just going to give it a 7, which is still 0.5 higher than it was to end with. But I'm happy with 7.
And as like an outro disclaimer, again, none of us did that. And I think if I did do that, I would potentially have almost a double my score level of impact on me.
Yeah, I really wish I knew that was there.
It wouldn't have changed much for me.
I think that could have definitely like jettisoned this game way up for me, and almost like I'm frustrated that the game didn't tell me that there was anything like that. So to the point where it's not like I chose not to. I literally just didn't even know.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think it was a wonderful game. I'm glad we played it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, with those bonus levels, it does actually end up at the same score as Leap Year for me. So that's kind of funny.
Is one of the bonus levels Void Stranger? I'm guessing no, but I figured I'd ask.
Say what?
Is it? I think it. I was looking. There's like a. There's like a Steam guide that lists what all the trophies are, and it has like.
Yeah. There's no Void Stranger one.
Okay, there's not. For some reason in my head there was.
I figured I'd ask because then I would have to be like, hold on, I want to change my score to 5.5. But it's fine. We're good at 4.5.
Yeah, it's got like Fez. It's got Animal Well. It's got Leap Year.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that this game is like very inspired by Leap Year for sure.
Braid, La Mulana 2, VVVVVVVV.
That also makes sense because of the name.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I'm 100% convinced this game is only named that because of VVVV.
I don't remember. That game is so fucking old. I don't even remember why it was named that.
Spikes. The game is about like platforming spikes, so the V's represent spikes.
Well, in any case, that was this was our intermezzo game for next week. Ben, you picked Control. I believe at this point all of us are either finished or close to finished with it. What are some initial vibes we got? What are some teasers we can give for Control? I fucking love that game.
I don't want to talk too much about it, and the reason why is because I've written some material, like a lot of one-liners and zingers, and I don't want to blow my load right now. But Control is a third-person shooter that has kind of like art house vibes or like psychological vibes, and that's all I want to say about it for now. You guys can expound more
So
if
funny.
you wish.
Well, I'll say I have this entire week off from work, so I'm only like 4 or 5 hours into it, and so I'm not that far into it right now. So far, it's okay. I feel like it's okay. Game
We're
hasn't
doing the
shown me much
DLC,
yet.
right?
I was going to.
The DLC, I've only done one of the 2 DLCs so far, and they're like, I wouldn't call them long, but definitely like plan on needing a little bit of time if you're doing both of them.
Yeah. I think it's like about 5 hours each or whatever. I remember asking Jippity, and I think it's like a 20-hour experience total with both the
Yeah.
DLCs.
Yep.
Yeah, I was waiting
That
until
sounds
after
about
this
right.
to start them.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were doing them.
All right, but that was Ooh, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, Greg.
Ooh.
Peace.
Ooh.